All right, man, are we ready?
Yeah, give me a second here.
Okay, all right.
Alright, looks like we're ready to go.
All right, thanks, man. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 8th episode of Hit the Table. My name is Corey Stein, and this is the show where we talk about... Hey, man, you can't be in here. Wait a second. Put that down.
Oh no. But we have the technology. We can make him better.
Greetings, friends, and welcome to the 8th episode of Hit the Table. My name is Corey Stein, and we have finally been able to bring you this episode because I've been reconstructed bionically to be the best possible board gamer. I don't know how much truth there is to that, and you'll probably find out that there's almost no truth to that. But we are very happy to be back to talk about board games, role-playing games, and card games, anything that can hit your tabletop and let you have fun with your friends. When we decided to resurrect Jetpack Joust and start making new content again, I knew that I wanted to bring back Hit the Table. It was the show I had the most fun making, and we've got some other content that we may resurrect in the future as well. But when I started thinking about new episodes, I knew that I wanted to discuss something that's really in the popular consciousness of the moment. A game or games that have people thinking. And really, when it comes down to it, we are living in the age of the party game, and thus the casual gamer. There are a lot of people who are getting into board games through party games for the first time. So we determined that it was our job to settle an age-old debate, or a debate that we at least think is age-old here at Jetpack Joust. And we're going to talk about not one, but two party card games that seem to get brought up in a lot of different conversations between both gamers and non-gamers alike. We want to illuminate you which one of these games is worth your hard-earned money, and more importantly, which one is going to hit the table more times than the other. Which one are you really going to get value out of? Today, we are going to settle an epic battle between two great party card games, Cards Against Humanity and Superfight. Now, before we get started, I have to make a confession. This is not a genre that I love. If I'm going to play a party game, I'm probably going to pick something like The Resistance or The Coup, something that plays a lot of people but that's a little bit more strategic. Still, I'm aware of how popular Cards Against Humanity is, how popular Superfight is, and I'm actually, I like the games when I've played them. They're not something that I would necessarily choose to pull out all the time, but when you're with a bunch of people who've never played board games before or never played any type of strategic card game, this is a nice solution. It's really a way to just get together with your friends, to laugh a lot, and to have a good time. And that's what this show is all about. So while these are not my personal favorite games, I do want to give you some insight into why I think one is better than the other. It should also be noted that Cards Against Humanity could be considered pretty offensive to some people. And so if you have a sick, twisted, demented, childlike sense of humor like my groups of friends, you'll probably really enjoy it. But if you're a little bit sensitive to any particular topics, I would certainly suggest steering clear of both this particular video and Cards Against Humanity in general. This is not a game for the faint of heart. As any good party game should be, both Cards Against Humanity and Superfight are incredibly easy to teach and to learn. The rules are very simple and largely come down to what can make you laugh the hardest. In Cards Against Humanity, each player is going to pick up 10 white cards, and you can really play this game with however many people you want. I think the box says between 4 and 20 players. I find though that with this game, the sweet spot is between 6 and 8. That's really where the game can kind of really get going. You can actually have a legitimate winner. It actually feels like you're playing a game. If you start to get more people than that, it just kind of feels like a round-robin comedy experiment, like a lot of improvisation. And I'm not 100% certain that it works so well. But if you have a lot of people around, this is a game that can make people laugh. Just don't expect anyone to walk out the winner. Once you have your 10 cards, you're going to go ahead and assign a card czar. And that person is going to turn over a black card, which is going to have a sentence on it. In this particular sentence, it says, "Come to Dubai, where you can relax in our world-famous spas, experience the nightlife, or simply enjoy blank by the poolside." Each player will then pick a card from their white hand, and they will go ahead and lay down that card and see if they can be the funniest. I'm going to be completely unfunny and use the card being rich. Then the person who drew the black card will decide which is the funniest and determine the winner.
Oh my, I've said something culturally insensitive.
Shitty titty butt fuck.
If you've ever played a game like Apples to Apples, Cards Against Humanity is like that, but with dirty humor. And everyone is different, so what makes one card czar laugh might be different than something else. My card here, where I say, "Come to Dubai, where you can relax in our world-famous spas, experience the nightlife, or simply enjoy being rich by the poolside," might actually be so on the nose that it makes somebody laugh and makes me choose me as the winner. But maybe you like dark humor, and so you go with something that's the darkest card on the board. Maybe someone came up with a particularly clever play on this sentence, and that will often win the day. If you can find a way to be really imaginative with your answers, that is something that everyone else can connect with, that's when Cards Against Humanity is at its best. When it's not just a game about who's put down the dirtiest phrase, but who's actually taken the time to think about how that phrase works in conjunction with the black card sentence that's been laid down on the table.
This card makes me cry inside.
Allow me to display my unfortunate understanding of history.
If you are the winner of that round, you get to keep your white card sort of as a scoring system. This is your way of sort of indicating that you got 1 point. And you continue the game until however many points you want to play to. Some people will play to 5, some people play to 7, some people play to 10. It really depends, and you just kind of have to consider how long of a night you want to play Cards Against Humanity. Is this the only thing you want to do at your party, or do you want to do other things like socialize and drink and whatever you kids do at parties these days?
I believe this game could use some more poop jokes.
He said poop.
At face value, Superfight looks an awful lot like Cards Against Humanity. It uses the same white card, black card dichotomy. It's got a very similar looking box. In fact, you could say that they are taking the design from Cards Against Humanity and trying to take advantage of how popular it is. That being said, Superfight is very different from Cards Against Humanity in a lot of different ways. This game requires a bit more thinking, a bit more creativity, because you actually have to make an argument. And it's an argument that nerds have all the time. Who would win in a fight? If you've ever been standing around with your friends talking about Captain America versus Batman, Spider-Man versus Moon Knight, I don't know, Hellcat versus Catwoman, there's always that great debate about who would win in a battle between great heroes. Superfight replicates that. Each player gets 3 white cards and 3 black cards. The 3 white cards represent a character or a figure of some kind. Now, these aren't always superheroes. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're quite funny or something that's a little bit more unique. Each player also gets 3 black cards, and this represents different powers that particular character could use. So in this case, in my white hand, I have an eagle, my boss, a turtle, and then in my black hand, I have Frost Breath, armed with a lightsaber, and armed with a tranquilizer gun. I'm going to go ahead and go with the eagle, because eagles are majestic and awesome, and they're also very patriotic. Then I'm going to go ahead and arm that eagle with Frost Breath. Now, once you've created your character and the power that they have, you'll actually go ahead and draw 1 more black card. And the interesting thing about the black cards are that they aren't always a good thing. Sometimes they're actually a negative. Now, normally you wouldn't pick a negative from your hand, but you could very easily draw one from the black card deck. So you go ahead and draw a random power as well. So my eagle that has Frost Breath and also has a hostage. The opposing player would then do the same thing, lay down a character, a power, and then a random power. Then what happens is you debate between the 2 players over whose character would win in a fight. I might say that my eagle would win because he's patriotic. He has the entirety of the American people behind him. He has Frost Breath, so he can simply freeze his opponent where he stands and they'll never have a chance. And I also have a hostage, so I can play upon the morality of the opposing character to make sure that I win.
I truly do believe that my T-Rex with his long metal claws the size of Freddy Krueger could truly defeat your character. He also throws ninja stars, so he is incredibly acrobatic and very vicious with his bitey teeth, with the teeth.
Superfight can lead to some hilarious scenarios. And the best part is that it's not just the cards that you have to consider. You have to think about everything that goes along with those characters. As I mentioned, an eagle represents the patriotism of the United States. That's not something that's face value here, but it's something that you have to create with your mind. Superfight is much more about imagination. It's much more about what you can come up with as opposed to what's on the card. The cards might make you laugh, that's for certain, but your own thoughts, your own ideas are what's going to drive the game and what's going to get you the win.
Frankly, sir, my sumo wrestler's not afraid of your T-Rex one bit. He has x-ray vision, so he can see through your body for the weakness in all of your individual anatomical parts. So I could punch through your gut and then hit you in the head with my fist. And then I can also summon anything from a hardware store. So I'd have a wrench in my hand and a chainsaw in the other and just come running at you until you are dinosaur soup.
Superfight is unique in the sense that you have two people playing against each other, and then the rest of the group has to vote on which made the better argument for their character. So this is really not just about humor, it's about debate. It's about how good you are at convincing everyone else around you that you are the victor. And more importantly, it's very good at keeping the whole group engaged. Even when you aren't participating in a battle, you have to be listening. And in fact, I sometimes find that this game is more fun when you're not participating in the battle, because you get to hear all of these crazy ideas that your friends come up with. You have no idea what they're going to pull out of their back pocket, and so it will always make you laugh. I can honestly say I think Superfight has made me laugh more than any other game I've ever played. Like Cards Against Humanity, if you win the battle, you get to keep the white card as an indication of your victory. If you get 7 white cards, you are the winner. Now that we've gone over the rules and you understand how these games play, you might be wondering which of them is better, which is funnier, which one is going to hit the table more often? Am I going to get value out of Cards Against Humanity or Superfight? Well, we're going to go ahead and tell you. There's a reason that Cards Against Humanity is so popular. It allows you to say things and do things that you would never do in public otherwise. It is a truly offensive game, and that's what makes it so funny. The cards in Cards Against Humanity are designed to make you laugh, and if you actually hear an interview with the creators of the game, you'll understand that they playtest this to death. Every single card is meticulously phrased to make sure that it has the maximum funny value. And if you have the right group of friends, if you hang around people who are not easily offended, if they like edgy humor, Cards Against Humanity is going to be really popular, especially the first few times you play it. It is not often in polite society that you're able to say the things that Cards Against Humanity allows you to say. This is truly a game about being horrible. And what's nice about that is there's a certain release to it. There's almost nothing in this box that you'll find that you actually agree with or think is a humane and decent thing. But sometimes the best way to confront the horrors of our world is to laugh at them. And Cards Against Humanity ultimately allows us to do that. However, the game is not without its weaknesses. One of the real problems with Cards Against Humanity is that once you've gotten through the base set, once you've used every single card in the box, it becomes increasingly difficult to get a laugh. I've found that most of the humor in this game comes from discovery. The first time you read a card to yourself and say, "Pac-Man uncontrollably guzzling cum," that is funny. But once you've laid down that card and everyone's discovered it, it's never quite as funny the second time. And so Cards Against Humanity becomes a game of diminishing returns. Now, there are a number of expansions, I believe there's 7 now officially, that you can use to expand your Cards Against Humanity decks to allow you to continue to have that sense of discovery, but that can get really expensive over a long period of time, and you might not want to spend that much money on a party game. The final problem with Cards Against Humanity is actually the same thing that makes it a fun game. It's offensive. And if you don't have the right friends, if you hang out with people who are particularly sensitive or politically correct, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Actually, I'm absolutely fine with that. But this could potentially really hurt their feelings or really inhibit their ability to enjoy the game. Cards Against Humanity is fun because it allows you to say awful, awful things, but it's also a problem because it allows you to say awful, awful things. And I will say that the more I've played the game, the more unsettling it is to me. And maybe that's just my personality. I find myself to be in that more sensitive category. It's made me laugh, don't get me wrong. And I would play it, with the right group of friends. But at the same time, there is a little bit of a troubling aspect to it. And so you have to be
ready to go into the game understanding that. The only thing that balances out the horrible language and content of Cards Against Humanity is that a lot of their proceeds go directly to charity. So even though you're saying really terrible things to your friends, you can at least say, I did it for charity. In many ways, Superfight is a great game for the opposite reasons of Cards Against Humanity. Superfight is a family-friendly game. It can largely be played with kids or younger people, teenagers, adults. You never have to feel guilty about playing Superfight with a family member or with a friend who is particularly sensitive. But the amazing thing is that even though this game never goes blue, at least not in its initial incarnation, it is just as funny, just as entertaining, really uproariously hilarious as Cards Against Humanity if played the right way. So much of Superfight is about what you bring to the table. If you're a creative person, you're going to be able to make connections between these characters and the powers, and if you use different expansions, there's scenarios, there's sidekicks, there's lots of really great elements that they keep piling on top of this fight that allows you to make your argument, your debate, that much more interesting. It's these moments of interpretation and the ability to bring your own pop culture knowledge to the game that makes it so fun. Whereas Cards Against Humanity is a game about the content that is on the cards themselves, that tends to be what makes you laugh. There are fleeting instances where a correct combination of sentence and card will really make you laugh. It's something that's really clever. But here, that happens all the time. It's not about the cards that you're dealt. You could be dealt a terrible hand, but if you can make the right argument, you can win the game. It's not just about laughs, it's about winning over your audience. For this reason, Superfight doesn't have that same decline in hilarity that Cards Against Humanity tends to. Every time you play the game, there's different combinations of cards, and this means that each time you play is a completely unique experience. Even if you receive the same character card that you received the last time you played, you can still use a different argument. They're going to have different powers. There might be a different scenario involved. Who knows? But all of these different elements are completely interchangeable and really lead to a customizable, replayable experience. What's more, Superfight's expansions don't feel like a way to just continue making the game funnier and funnier. You're not paying out every time to get funny cards. The expansions simply add to the options in the deck. They lead to more combinations. And what I love about Superfight's expansions is they actually have themes. There's a nerdy expansion. There is a Walking Dead specific expansion. There is a rated R expansion that's kind of got some dirty content if you want to get your Cards Against Humanity fix. That's all there. But instead of making it a mandatory part of the game, they've allowed it to be optional. The only real downside I've found to Superfight is you do have to be invested in the concept. You do have to be the kind of person who thinks about sort of superheroes battling and who would win in these particular circumstances. It is sort of borderline too nerdy for some people, and so that will turn some folks away, I think, because it's kind of, you could consider it a violent game, even though I don't think it's all that violent. It's all about imagination and creativity and what you can do with the ideas that are on your cards. But at the same time, if you have friends who don't think about these things, if they're not thinking about Captain America fighting Batman all the time, Superfight might not work for them. After weighing all of the pros and cons for each of these games, after considering our opinions, having played them many times each, we have decided to declare Superfight the victor in this contest. Frankly, Superfight is the better game. It's going to hit your table more often than not. It's going to make you laugh more. It's more appropriate for all groups of friends. You can play it with family members without feeling embarrassed. This is a great game, and while it's certainly not my favorite party game, of these two, of these really popular party experiences, this is the best, and this is the one you should invest your money and time in.
But that's going to be it for Hit the Table this week. We are really happy that you guys could join us once again. We are really happy to have this series back up and running, and we're going to continue to produce content weekly as we can. So new reviews, new insights, new news about the board gaming community, role-playing games, card games, anything you want that could hit your tabletop and have fun with your friends. So you guys have a great week, and until next time, a Bill Murray. We really hope that you guys liked this new episode of Hit the Table. We worked really hard to put it together for you, and we can't wait to continue producing new stuff so that you can get all of your board game news from us. But please, if you liked this video, let us know. Give us a like and also comment on the thread. We want to know if this was too long, if it was funny enough, if you like the comedy bits or you prefer straight analysis. We want to do everything we can to cater this channel to your needs. We just want to point out the things that we're having fun with so that you can have fun too. Don't forget to check out the Gamescast every week where we talk about video games and play games while we do it. I'm actually going to be on this week's episode. It's going to be a really good time. And also, check out jetpackjoust.com. We've got a lot of great stuff going on there. Not just the YouTube videos, but we also have our podcasts, Starbird Radio, Horizons, a Walt Disney World podcast, Character Traits, and we're only going to continue to expand that repertoire. So we really hope you'll check out the site. We're glad you checked out the channel. Give us a subscribe, give us a like if you can, and we'll see you next week.